A journey away from home. The day I left my family home and moved to a new house, only 10 kilometers away, felt like a small step at first. It wasn't a move to a distant city or a foreign land. Just a short distance. A few minutes by bike or car. Yet, what I experienced in the days and weeks that followed made me realize that even small distances can create enormous changes in life. This was my first time living away from my family. I was excited but nervous, confident but a little unsure. It's just 10 kilometers, I kept telling myself. What could change? I thought I knew everything, but life had its way of teaching me lessons I hadn't expected. The first day. A quiet beginning. The first day in the new house was filled with mixed emotions. It was a small, quiet place, nothing like the bustling, lively home I had left behind. I spent the morning unpacking, setting up my room, and arranging the kitchen. I tried to make it feel like home, placing familiar things in sight. A photo frame of my family, the soft blanket my mother insisted I take, and the small potted plant my sibling gave me as a good luck charm. By evening, I was exhausted but proud. I had managed everything on my own, something I hadn't done before. I prepared a simple dinner, instant noodles, nothing fancy, and sat down to eat. That's when the silence hit me. Back at home, dinner time was always lively. My father would talk about his day. My mother would gently remind us to eat more vegetables, and my sibling would crack jokes that made everyone laugh. Here, the only sound was the ticking of the clock. I realized then that I wasn't just 10 kilometers away. I was miles away from the warmth and comfort of home. What I missed. The small things in the days that followed. I began to notice all the little things I had taken for granted at home. The smell of home. At home, the smell of freshly cooked food would fill the air. My mother's special dishes, rich curries, soft rotis, and sweet desserts, were a daily treat. Here, my kitchen smelled of half-cooked attempts and instant meals. The familiar noises. I missed the sound of my father watching the news, my mother humming a song as she worked, and my siblings' occasional arguments over silly things. The quiet of the new house wasn't peaceful, it was empty. The comfort of routine. At home, everything worked like clockwork. I never had to worry about groceries magically appearing or the bills being paid. Now, every task required my attention, and I began to realize how much my parents had shielded me from the everyday struggles of life. The challenges. A series of struggles. Living alone brought a series of challenges that I wasn't prepared for. 1. Loneliness. The biggest struggle was the loneliness. Even though I was just a phone call away from my family, it wasn't the same as having them around. I missed the random conversations, the shared laughter, and even the occasional disagreements. There were nights when I sat by the window, looking at the stars, wondering if they were also thinking of me. 2. Cooking disasters. One day, I decided to cook something special. My mother's recipe for vegetable curry. I called her, wrote down every step, and started with great enthusiasm. But by the time I finished, the kitchen was a mess, and the curry tasted like salt water. I ended up eating bread and butter that night, feeling defeated. 3. Household responsibilities. Fixing a leaking tap, cleaning the floors, and dealing with unexpected power cuts were all new experiences. Once, the electricity went out in the middle of the night, and I had no idea where the fuse box was. I spent hours figuring it out, with only my phone's flashlight to guide me. 4. Managing expenses. At home, I never thought twice about the cost of groceries or utility bills. Here, I had to plan every expense carefully. There were days when I stretched my budget by eating the same meal for lunch and dinner or skipping treats I used to enjoy. Moments of realization. Despite the struggles, there were moments of realization that changed my perspective. Gratitude. I began to appreciate everything my parents had done for me, from the small comforts of home-cooked meals to the emotional support they provided. I realized how much love and effort they had poured into making my life easy. Self-discovery. Living alone pushed me to discover my strengths. I learned to solve problems, make decisions, and take care of myself in ways I had never done before. Small victories, like fixing a broken curtain rod or cooking a decent meal, gave me a sense of accomplishment. The first visit back home. After a month of living in the new house, I visited my family home. As soon as I stepped inside, I felt an overwhelming sense of comfort. The smell of spices wafting from the kitchen, the sound of my father's laughter, and the sight of my mother's warm smile. It was like I had stepped back into a cocoon of love. At dinner, my family asked me about my new life. I told them about the challenges, the funny moments, and the lessons I had learned. My mother listened with concern, my father nodded with pride, and my sibling teased me about my cooking disasters. That evening, surrounded by my family, I realized how much I had missed them and how much they meant to me. A new perspective on life. Moving away from home, even for a short distance, taught me lessons I couldn't have learned otherwise. Independence. I learned to rely on myself and handle challenges with patience and determination. Gratitude. I started valuing the comforts of home and the love of my family in a way I never had before. Resilience. The struggles I faced made me stronger and more capable, proving that I could handle life's uncertainties. Though the journey was difficult, it was also rewarding. The experience of living alone gave me a new appreciation for the things I had always taken for granted. It reminded me that home is not just a place. It's a feeling, a source of strength, and a treasure that stays with us no matter where we go. Even now, when I visit my family, I cherish every moment. And when I return to my own house, I carry a piece of home in my heart, knowing that the lessons I've learned will guide me wherever life takes me.